Hello, ECDO. Hey, you guys asked me to put together a video to highlight the new prototype, the extruded aluminum version of the stand, and so here goes. It's pretty similar to the wood stand when it's fully assembled. We've got the base with the Aki and the uprights supporting the board, and it's more or less the same, except for this stand is way more beefy and rugged than the wooden version. I'll be honest with you, I actually like it a lot better. Okay, so this stand is largely made up of components purchased from 80/20. 80/20 is, they call themselves the industrial erector set, and they do that because they've got a whole bunch of parts that work and play together, and things like gussets and members and extruded aluminum that all keys off this this T-slot. And you can get different profiles that have T-slots on various sizes, then they just make a whole bunch of things that actually bolt into to this T-slot system, which includes stanchions, cable management, other holders and brackets, and sliders and everything. Okay, so broken down, the stand consists of the frame, which you see here. It actually lays flat. We'll talk about some of the components, the hinges and tensioners and so forth in a bit. But it does lay flat. It folds into one slightly heavy frame, and I haven't weighed it, but I'm guessing the frame comes in somewhere between 60, maybe 70 pounds, something like that. So it's probably about the same total overall weight as the wooden version, but this one does not break down into such a small, compact size. So storage is going to be a little bit cumbersome, and so is moving it. But but it consists of that frame and then a couple of the support pieces, just like in our other version. I went ahead and used press nuts here, along with these knurled knobs, just to kind of keep the amount of extra hardware to a minimum. So you'd walk into a venue, you'd have the frame and a couple of these support members, obviously a dartboard, and the setup would be really, really quick and easy to perform. So let's go into some of the the different design components of the stand. There's not much to it, so it shouldn't take too long. Okay, so I just put on one of the side supports, and figure we can go ahead and go through some of the different component selections that we made. Starting right down here with the hinges. These hinges, I think, are sturdy enough. I went with these hinges because they are separable. So I think I can show you here. If you, since the stand is heavy and is large, I figured it'd make sense to put a separable hinge on there in case it's any easier for transportation. If we decide just to use two guys and transport these stands with them fully assembled, I wouldn't mind seeing those hinges upgraded to a slightly beefier, non-separable version. But as far as I can tell, they're working out fine. The supports bolt into what we call these pivots, and the pivots are kind of cool. Once we tune up the stand and get it at right angles and get the bullseye and the Aki positioned properly, these guys are locked into place, and so they don't move. So it makes for setup in the future really, really easy. There's one here on the side, another one down there on the floor. As I say, they're fixed, and the cool thing about them is when we close the stand, these guys actually slide down and lock the frame pieces together. So during transport and so forth, it would be very difficult to torque and damage the hinges because any kind of movement is prohibited. As you can see, I've also integrated board tensioners into the design. They're pretty straightforward. It's just I've got a kind of a soft rubber tipped pad that goes up against the dartboard. Then I've got hardware, if you can see it, that allows for easy tensioning. I've got a lock back here, and then just something that you can use to kind of gently tighten or apply tension to the board so that it doesn't roll around. You guys have all done that. This is what I consider to be the weakest link of the whole board or the whole stand. I went with just your standard regular old board mount that we get, in a lot of our boards. They're pretty cheap. You can get 4 packs of them online inexpensively. But, it seems to be working fine. I did get a couple other board mounts as well. There may be some we like better, but it seems like most boards already have that screw in the back and then can just drop right in right there. I should point this out. I was concerned because the members of this stand are so long. I was concerned about, just the rigidity and, how rugged the stand would be, especially during transport, assembly and disassembly for, for events. And so I went with these double stanchions, and they are, these double gussets, and they are just rock solid. So I've been very, very happy with the rigidity of the stand and just how solid it is. And, it's great. I mean, it's quiet. It's super rugged. I mean, there's no, that rattling you're hearing is these guys rattling, but there's no rattling when you throw. It's totally quiet, and it just, it just doesn't budge. It's solid as a rock. Oh, see. That is probably about it. I mean, there's not much to the stand. There are some pros and cons that go along with it. I guess we'll start with the con. It is, it's expensive. I did a costed bomb that I think is pretty close to 100% accurate. And it is in the, it comes out without tax and without shipping. It comes out to about $570. So that is a lot of money. And also, the shipping is not cheap either. So there's no doubt this is an expensive stand. But it is, very rugged, and I think probably the money we pay is going to be well worth it. From a standpoint of maintenance, it's, I think it's going to be far better than the wooden stand. I would very much imagine that we're going to have maintenance issues as we set up and tear down that somewhat mechanically complicated wood stand. On this one here, I think we'd have maintenance issues potentially, but I think we'd have a lot less. And the cool thing about this is every single part that you're looking at, with the exception of these supports on the side that we had to make, is orderable online with a part number. And everything, with the exception of these screws here, which require a Phillips, is adjustable, fixable, removable with this one Allen wrench. So one tool, one size fits all. It can go through, and with a few extra spare parts, there is no maintenance issue that could come up that you couldn't fix right away, right on site in just a couple of minutes. Yeah, another pro for sure is the ease of fabrication. If we want to sit down and say after a board meeting, assemble even 6 of these things, I'm pretty sure that the group of us could put them together in about an hour. Versus, the wooden stand, which is going to be at least a couple days of good hard work and challenge over quality and being consistent in in how we put it together, and probably some additional work for somebody to wrap them up afterwards. The fabrication is no doubt way better here. In fact, the other one I think is challenging enough. I wonder if we'd even do it. I mean, I hope we would. I mean, it'd be kind of fun, but it would be a huge challenge to pull that off. The setup and teardown, when we're moving to events or whatever, is a snap. And again, that is a much easier pathway with this stand right here versus the wooden one, which I don't know, it might be a little bit easy to move because it does fold down into a more compact form factor. But it's certainly a little bit more complicated, and as we mentioned before, maybe a little more fragile as we put it together for an event. Jeff Leonard had a couple ideas, and it's things that we've been thinking about too over here. We're going to need to integrate lighting in with this stand, and Jeff actually had a couple other things he's interested in. In addition to lighting, maybe cameras. Forward looking up at the board and backward looking at the thrower. One of the nice things again about 80/20 is they've just got a whole bunch of wire management, parts that you can integrate in with the stand, including conduits and clips and all kinds of things that allow you to get the power routed neatly through the stand. For me, I kind of like these round lights that are, we can just integrate right in with the dartboard. But I know some people don't. Some people think they're too bright, or they don't like the color, or whatever. But we certainly have options. I've got here, pardon the mess. I know it's just such a mess in here. Oh, here we go. One option would be something like this. And I use these. I actually got these to augment the lighting at Three Lions before they put in their dart lighting. This one's probably too bright, but they make them less bright, and it'd be easy to take a boom and hang a couple of these over the dartboard, or other lights that don't look quite so industrial, and and maybe would integrate in just as well or more cheaply. These I'll just briefly mention this. We've also been using this camera module right here, and it'd be very easy to mount a couple of these on the stand, and they're, it's pretty small, so it kind of stay out of the way. But, again, with these comes more, these are USB based. It's a couple more wires, and then it's got to go into something that can take the signal and throw it onto a screen. I should say, for both the wood stand and this stand, I got some ideas, but I have not fully integrated in a tablet holder. So that's going to be something I'll be thinking about and wanting to do. We can talk about it together. I mean, it could be that there's going to be barriers between these stands that we can mount the tablet holder to. I'll have to get some input from you, Jeff, and you, Ants, and you guys to let me know, do we have to integrate that in here? My suspicion is we probably do, but I'll wait and hear from you guys. Aside from some finishing touches, like maybe some end caps for these, kind of exposed open corners, which make it look, a lot more finished and cool. They've got other little finishing touches we may want to add on to it. This is essentially what the stand will be.